So the Springboks have got themselves the victory over France, 32 points to 17. This game at the Stade de France, it was full of physicality, little bit of controversy thrown in there as well, but overall a very physical and outstanding contest between these two sides. We saw South Africa really come into their own throughout the second half as France started to tire. We saw a red card for Ludiaka, which is still a little bit uncertain about how long that man will be out for, as it was considered as a cynical offence rather than the 20-minute red, but we'll be going through it in this review, as well as looking at who stepped up for these two sides. Now, I will mention it straight away. Man of the match went to Sasha Feinberg Ngumezulu. Now, he had a bit of a mixed bag of a game, and I do think early on the tactics from the box were slightly wrong up against the French. Now, in the long run, it worked out. They were able to get themselves the victory, but as you can see, after the 64th minute, that is when we started to see the Springboks find their rhythm. Not only because France was starting to slow down, but also because they went to that more so attacking style of rugby that we've seen throughout the year. Sasha's game, I don't believe, does suit that up and under, kicking it downfield, hoping to get those 50-50s in the air in your favour. I do feel when he is at his best, it's when he's running that ball, and that's what he got to experience with Mani Libbok when they did make that switch. But we've seen the 4 tries being scored by the South Africans. The early one for Kobus Reinach. Alongside that, we saw the try from Andre Esterhuizen, the try for Grant Williams, and then also the last-minute try from Sasha Feinberg Ngumezulu. 2 early tries on the board for the French. Damien Penaud being able to score both of them, and they did come out of the gates firing in this match. The French, they looked dangerous, although someone who we didn't see a huge amount of throughout this game was actually Louis Biarray. He was on the other wing. Damien Penaud's side, definitely the more targeted. Ramos was solid at the back, although there was 1 or 2 defensive misreads that led to the Boks getting great opportunities throughout this contest as well. In the forward back, we saw quite a bit of Jalange for a start. Not a lot of Bodient, not a lot of Gilliard. Of course, there would have been certain moments that I did miss along the way, but I don't think anyone for the French had an absolutely huge game throughout this match, other than you could argue about Damien Penaud. For the South Africans, they had a few guys who did manage to step up quite nicely throughout this match. Cheslin Colby was his usual solid self out on the right wing. I thought that Damien Dialende and Jesse Creel, I mentioned about it before the match, they were selected for this match purely because of holding that midfield together, not allowing too many opportunities through the midfield for the French, which is why we saw France go so often to that kicking aerial battle. Visa had some good physicality. Peter Steff was heavily involved. And then Malcolm Marx, what a standout player he was throughout this match. I would have given him man of the match rather than Sasha Feinberg Ngumezulu, but that's just me. Couple crucial turnovers from Malcolm Marx throughout this game. But because South Africa were able to win it by 15, it does give them a hefty boost on the world rankings, more so than if they had won by 14 or less. So they'll be greatly appreciative of those points, definitely because it was away from home up against the French as well. But from next week, it will be Springboks versus Italy. Then they have got Ireland and then Wales to close out their November internationals. Currently sitting 2 from 2, so they will be definitely more than happy with where they are sitting at this point in time. For the French, they have got Fiji next week, and then the week after that, they will be playing up against the Australians. But I mentioned about it at the start. Little bit of controversy regarding this game. Ludiaka received that red card. Now, normally what you would see is a card that is a yellow. They go off the field for the off-field TMO review, and then it is either upgraded to a red card for 20 minutes, or you end up just staying as the yellow. Whereas in this case, for Ludiaka, it was upgraded to a permanent red card. That is something we don't see too often, but they felt there was enough danger for Thomas Ramos in that collision that it was worthy of a red card. Now, I know that one split opinions a little bit, particularly because of the height that Thomas Ramos was at, but I do want to know from you guys, do you see that as a red card, or was it one that, yes, Ludiaka should have done better and shouldn't have came in and hit him in the head with his shoulder, but was there also a little bit of mitigation that could have limited it to the yellow card instead? But Ludiaka, he will have to now wait to find out what his journey is going to be throughout November. He is either getting himself suspended for the rest of the games. I don't see it being a short enough suspension that he will get to play, even up against the Welsh. He's got a pretty decent disciplinary record, so they may not go too hard on him. But yeah, very intriguing to know what happens next for Ludiaka. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. A pretty close game for a majority of this match up until the Boks found their rhythm at the end. Penalty count as well as handling was very high from the French, as you would expect for their first game back since July, but still some very crucial games for both of these teams heading forward before the World Cup draw. But thank you all very much for tuning in, and I will see you all for the next one.